BEASTARS! That's right. I am finally talking about this show, so you can stop with the comments now. So many comments. Oh God. I first heard about BEASTARS back in 2019 from some friends of mine. They were like, "Oh, Saber, you're gonna love this one." To which I was like, what does that mean?
You can be rough, I can handle it.
Oh, gotcha. I guess I got a theme going on with this channel of mine, and I only have myself to blame. Help me. So yeah, I finally got the chance to watch BEASTARS on Netflix back in March, and I loved it. I really loved it. So much so that I'm not proud to admit it. I read the manga. Seriously though, I was hooked. The characters are engaging. The world building is fantastic. And the overall story is a commentary about human ideologies and culture, but seen through the lens of an anthropomorphic society. To see them process different themes in their world, such as racism, sexism, classism, all the isms. But BEASTARS does this from the perspective of a society that is divided between herbivores and carnivores. And that puts a spin on things. I mean, how can a civilization function where there's one group of sentient people who live in constant fear that they might be eaten in cold blood by the other? What are the social ramifications of that setting? How would it impact their culture, their behavior, their beliefs? These are all questions that BEASTARS wants to analyze and explore in its narrative. Now, many folks who watch BEASTARS are reminded of another anthropomorphic story that somewhat did the same thing, Zootopia. It too wanted to examine the world of sentient predators and prey who coexist in a modern society and explore the ups and the downs of it all. That it's not perfect, that there are social problems, and discrimination is a very real thing. Bunnies are small and weak, so they can't be good cops. Foxes are underhanded and can't be trusted. Predators are predisposed to going savage, so you better keep your distance from them. But where Zootopia lightly taps the pedal of discussing social problems, BEASTARS absolutely floors it. So let's take a closer look at BEASTARS, because Lord knows you all won't let me avoid this one.
What do you want from me?
So, who is responsible for BEASTARS? Well, that would be Peru Edagaki, who is a very interesting individual to say the least. Not much is known about her, but she prefers it that way. Peru very much so values her privacy, so I'm gonna respect that and keep things short. The main thing that is worth pointing out is that she's the daughter of Kosuke Edagaki, the artist who created Grappler Baki, which is a very popular martial arts manga. Now, Peru would go on to both write and illustrate BEASTARS, and it was first released via manga on September 8th, 2016, and has been running ever since. As of right now, it is up to chapter 175, and has around 18 volumes in total. Eventually, an anime adaptation was announced. 12 episodes for its first season, and it would be done by a studio called Orange. This was an interesting choice, since this studio specializes in 3D CG animation, something that's still a bit of a taboo subject when it comes to anime. We'll talk more about the animation of BEASTARS later in the video. But in October of 2019, the BEASTARS anime made its debut on Japanese television and was a big hit. So much so that Netflix even hit them up for licensing rights and wanted to bring BEASTARS to their streaming services. This was cool, since Netflix is one of the biggest streaming sites in the entire world, which meant potentially a lot more people could see it. And guess what? A lot of them did. I remember hearing about BEASTARS leading up to the March release on Netflix, and how excited folks were for it. There was good buzz, strong hype, and a very catchy intro that basically sold me on the entire series. It's in stop motion! How cool is that? All right, so before I get into the meat of the matter, get it? Get it? Get it?
All right, I get it!
I'm going to give a quick synopsis about BEASTARS. You know, the show, the characters, all that good stuff. And don't worry, no spoilers. Well, for now. I'll give you all a heads up whenever we get to that part. Oh, and for the record, I am focusing on the Netflix dub for BEASTARS. Yes, I said the dub. Now, don't get me wrong. I love subs, especially with mustard. Welcome to the world of BEASTARS. It's a lot like modern Japan, except instead of humans, you have anthropomorphic animals, such as lions, tigers, bears,
That's enough.
Now, most of the characters resemble a human in shape, but there are some differences. Their heads, their skin, some have tails, some have claws and beaks and snouts. So these animal characters take the physical shape of a human, but that's about it. The rest of the design of that character is focused on the animal that they are. It's different compared to Zootopia, where its characters are more animal-like. Judy looks much more like a bunny compared to Haru, who, let's be real here, looks like an alchemy experiment gone wrong. Or oh so terribly right. Now, the main story takes place at Cherryton Academy, a prestigious school that teaches both carnivores and herbivores. Our main character is a gray wolf named Legoshi. He's intimidating, he's huge, he's very shy, and quite unsure of himself. Other students are scared of him and stay out of his way, though you can tell that Legoshi is bothered by that and would prefer to be judged by the content of his character and not the way that he looks. Legoshi is part of a drama club where we meet another important character, Louis the Red Deer. He's popular, he's talented, he walks with purpose and inspires everyone around him to do their best. But deep down inside, the guy is completely messed up and has a lot of inner demons. He resents carnivores. He's frustrated with being a herbivore. He doesn't want to be powerless in a world where a carnivore could just eat him on the spot if they chose to.
Go ahead, Legoshi. Bite me!
You know what? I should probably explain that. The biggest element in BEASTARS, to me, is that this is a world where carnivores instinctually have the urge to kill and eat herbivores. That this desire is within every single carnivore, and it's not unheard of for herbivores to be murdered by them. It's not like Zootopia, where the carnivores have full control over their senses. Whenever those carnivores lost control, it was due to a chemical reaction. But here in BEASTARS, this is entirely on them and their instincts. Instincts that just don't go away and are incredibly difficult to control.
Hey, old man, it's 70,000 for that finger, right? If I pay for it, that means it's mine to eat?
And our final main character on the roster is Haru, the white dwarf rabbit. She is small, she's fragile, and she's not a fan of being looked down upon. Most folks only see her as a defenseless rabbit, while others see her as a promiscuous girl. Regardless of both angles, Haru's not highly thought of amongst her peers, and that bothers her.
Maybe you would just rather move out then. This is ridiculous.
So yeah, these three here are the main characters. Though I would say that Legoshi is like the main character, especially as the manga proceeds forward. There's also a bunch of interesting side characters, such as Bill the Tiger, Jack the Labrador, and Juno the Wolf. Now, the show starts off with a mysterious murder of a herbivore student from the drama club, and that really sets the tone for the rest of the show. That this is a world where there's a tenuous relationship between herbivores and carnivores, and it's a huge reason why there's so much division and discrimination in this society. Again, I don't want to get carried away with the story, because there's a lot of spoilers. And again, I am not going to mention any specific details from the manga. All I will say is that both the anime and the manga do a good job at moving things along. This is a story about the characters and how they interact in the world that they live in. the ups, the downs, how it bothers our characters, and how it challenges them and how they act and what they believe in. All in all, a great show across the board, and it makes me want to know more about this world. Alright, so why exactly is BEASTARS so excellent to me? Why do I think that? Well, I got a couple of reasons. First and foremost, the overall story and characters are incredibly well done. To me, when it comes to a movie, a show, a book, just any story in general, you need engaging characters. And BEASTARS is no exception to that. In the first few episodes, we learn about the societal norms of this setting, what's expected of people, and how they should think and behave. But then we have characters, Legoshi, Haru, Louis, who don't necessarily abide by those rules, and if anything, challenge them. We see them grow in organic ways, and how they question their surroundings. Why should Haru be seen only as a defenseless rabbit? Why should Legoshi be ashamed of being a strong wolf and hide that? Why is Louis so resentful of being a herbivore, yet holds such contempt when it comes to carnivores? These are interesting questions, and the characters progress with those questions as we make our way through the story. There's never really a moment where I feel like I'm being cheated out of an answer. BEASTARS isn't afraid to take its characters and throw tough questions and situations at them, to embrace its themes and toss characters right into the lion's den. That wasn't intentional, I swear. That wasn't on purpose. Oh god. Puns. So many puns. And best of all, the anime moves along at a very brisk pace. I never felt bored with the momentum of the story, and it made sure to keep introducing new elements to hold my attention. We go from a sheltered school, and then eventually into the world itself, one that is not perfect and has plenty of social problems. Stuff that comes as a shock to our characters and makes us ask, how are they going to cope with it? Will they fold with their beliefs, or will they hold their ground? These are just some of the questions, and they are so good.
Because if we kissed right now, it'll most likely trigger my natural instinct to devour you. And that would be sad.
Next, there's the way that BEASTARS utilizes allegories by using animals. Now, many of my viewers know that I am a huge fan of animals being used to tell a story. They're timeless, they're universal, and there's plenty of things a viewer can assume about an animal character solely based on the animal that they are. And BEASTARS is no exception to that. It wants to have a discussion about real social issues, but with an anthropomorphic twist. How would a society of untrusting herbivores and carnivores even function? Is it all built on lies? What exactly keeps this house of cards from tumbling down? There are ethical questions being proposed here, and the answers are pretty damn dark. Discrimination is a very real thing in BEASTARS, and it's a two-way road. Herbivores are seen as weak and helpless and undeserving of any real power in this world. But carnivores are also looked down upon. Be careful of these guys. They're driven by their instincts and can break into bloodlust at any moment. They should never be trusted and should hide their claws and their teeth. Hell, the mayor of BEASTARS is a lion, and he surgically removed his original canines. I think that's the right word, canines, the pointy teeth. Well, he had them removed just so he can be seen as less threatening to his herbivore constituents. The discrimination is very real in BEASTARS, and that is what makes it interesting. Now, I know I've brought up Zootopia before, but I want to mention it one more time. As you all know, I am a huge fan of that movie, and I see a lot of similarities between it and BEASTARS, though there are also quite a few major differences as well. Both settings take place in a modern society where herbivores and carnivores coexist. But the biggest difference, like I said before, is how Zootopia carnivores are in complete control of their decisions. When they did go crazy It was because of a chemical reaction being applied to them that was outside of their control. In BEASTARS, what Zootopia assumed was happening to its carnivores, instinctually going savage, well, that's the norm in BEASTARS. Every carnivore has an instinctual desire to eat herbivore meat, that their willpower is completely overwhelmed by their natural call to be a carnivore and kill in cold blood.
All it takes is one bite.
Damn it. I can't.
You longed for this taste.
How could a society like this even exist? Wouldn't it just collapse under all that tension? Wouldn't every single herbivore have a knife or some kind of weapon at all times?
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
Well, the BEASTARS universe has a very dark solution for this problem. Be warned, we are now heading into spoiler territory. 3, 2, 1. Okay. The answer: the back alley meat market. This place specifically sells herbivore meat. It's a way to satiate the primal desire of carnivores so they don't go on murderous rampages. Unfortunately, murders do happen, which is a big part of the story, but most carnivores are able to control themselves because they can satisfy their instincts. They can go get some meat and get their rocks off, in a manner of speaking.
But this is about to be a terrible dinner for you.
When BEASTARS first introduced the black market, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It is such a delightfully gray area and presents an ethical dilemma. Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this just delaying the problem? Or is it the solution? Should a predator be ashamed of going to the market? Or should they embrace it? The back alley market is already a taboo part of BEASTARS society, something that most herbivores know of and try to put it out of their mind. But deep down inside, they know what's happening. They know that these carnivores really enjoy the taste of herbivores. And guess what? You're sitting right next to one in class. Who's to say that you're not next? By the way, for those who are wondering, the majority of the meat on the market comes from hospitals and funeral homes, so it's already herbivores who are dead. Though there are exceptions to that. All in all, though, it becomes abundantly clear that society is hanging on by an uncomfortable thread, and that this instinctual call of carnivores is the main catalyst of fear and discrimination in the world of BEASTARS.
Drama Club was one of the only places where carnivores and herbivores got along.
You have to be really careful, else. There is a gray wolf in that club of yours, isn't that right?
Another aspect of BEASTARS, when it comes to instincts versus willpower, is the discussion of sexual desire. Another taboo topic. I guess that's just the word of the day, isn't it? The show isn't afraid to explore sexual deviance. If anything, I think that's one of its greatest twists. By the way, again, spoilers. There's a scene with Haru where she first makes her advances on Legoshi, and that completely shocks him. Threw me for a loop too. Leading up to that point, we hear rumors around the school that Haru sleeps around. And guess what? It's true. Though she has a very deep reason for that. She explains that she is seen as a woman when she has sex, an equal, someone who actually has a voice and who is taken into consideration, versus what is usually the norm, her being just a defenseless bunny. Honestly, this doesn't happen often. Usually when a girl is promiscuous in entertainment, she is a sexual deviant, she is looked down upon, it's not for good reasons, it's just for chasing dick. Not here. When Haru is being intimate with somebody, it is so she can be seen as an actual person in their eyes. That it's so rare for her to be on equal footing that she wants to be promiscuous. She wants to have multiple partners just so she can see eye to eye with another person as a person. That's great. It's not shallow. It's not just for physical gratification. It is so she can be seen as Haru. And that plot point is quite refreshing.
I discovered the one thing that I can do to feel like I'm equal with others. I found that this is the only time people don't feel sorry for me. It's an honest interaction with another individual, where I'm not treated as the weak one.
Legoshi himself is also a whirlwind of sexual impulses and desire, and often it gets mixed up with his instinctual drive to be a carnivore. Sometimes he can't decipher which emotion is pulling him. Does he want to bang the bunny or eat her? Maybe both. You tell me. Oh God, it really is both.
My body is moving. It wants to go inside your mouth.
Ultimately, BEASTARS excels at discussing cultural concepts and challenging societal norms, but doing so in a way that's disarming. By using anthro characters and building a world around that fact, we are presented a fictional setting where we can analyze our own world through their eyes. And to me, that's what makes BEASTARS truly shine. Oh, and the animation! Real talk, I had my reservations when I first saw the initial wave of screenshots and video clips of BEASTARS. 3D CG animation is still in a weird spot for anime and hasn't been fully embraced by most audiences, and I can understand why. Folks got completely burned by that CG Berserk adaptation. What the actual hell? But Orange Studio put its best foot forward and really own the animation they made for BEASTARS. There are moments where I can't even tell if I'm looking at a 2D drawing or a 3D model. Now, I know that both exist in the series, but more often than not, when I am confused, it's actually a 3D model. They just look that good. I think BEASTARS should be recognized as one of the best examples of 3D CG so far, and what it can accomplish moving forward with the medium. And when you combine the animation, along with the excellent characters, story, world building, well folks, you get one hell of a show. Overall, BEASTARS is a deep show with multiple layers to it. It definitely has something to say about the isms of society and how they translate over to a fictional world of sentient predators and prey. Personally, I love the anthropomorphic approach. It's disarming and also puts a spin on human culture. How would animals deal with the challenges of their society? What divisions would exist in their world? How would their civilization even function to begin with, when carnivores could snap at any moment? BEASTARS wants to have a discussion about these points, and I think both the anime and the manga do it very well. That being said, BEASTARS isn't for everyone. I had some folks hit me up sharing their thoughts about the show, saying that it's, quote, too on the nose, or that the anthro characters are unappealing and a turnoff, that the sexual nature of BEASTARS is uncomfortable, and they don't like it. Hey, you know what? That's fine. Like with virtually everything, not everyone is going to like it, especially if you don't care for stories that examine societal norms and bunny boobies. But for me, I recommend it. I like the world building, I think the characters are fleshed out and engaging, there's a brisk pace to the show, and how it moves things along and expands on the premise. All in all, one of my favorite things I've seen so far this year, and I look forward to seeing what they do next. Which I kind of know, because I've read the manga. Oh no. Am I becoming a weeb? I already have to deal with being called a furry. I can't bear both. Get it? Bear? Cause it's a bear, and it's a furry, and it's a panda, and you get it? You get it? You get it? You get it?
Shut up, you bastard! Screeching at me like you're some chihuahua, I'll teach you.
Oh, and I guess B&A's a thing. Yeah, I'll check that one out too.
Yeah.